Welcome to another edition of Whiskey, Games, and Nerd Stuff. Today's whiskey, actually, we're just enjoying a nice cup of coffee. And today's game is Welcome To. And we're going to do a how to play of Welcome To. Welcome To is a game created by Benoit Turpin, published by Blue Cocker Games, and you can play it with one to as many people as you want. It is a roll and write, but obviously this is going to be a flip and write, but it is in that roll and write category. In this game, you are an architect during the 1950s, and you're trying to build the best neighborhood by going through the cards, and we'll kind of go through each card and what it does, and then we'll do a couple playthroughs. So we went ahead and set up the game. So we have the game board, we have our player aid, then we have our city planner cards. You'll randomly shuffle these up, and you'll randomly shuffle up the ones that say 1, then 2, then 3, and go ahead and place those out. Then we went ahead and took the actual construction cards, and you're going to put these in 3 separate piles, three separate equal piles. Now you can play this solo player, and I'm not going to go through the solo play right now. We're going to pretend we're playing this with some other people and kind of go through the first couple turn sequences, and then I'll fast forward to the end and we'll do the scoring. And yes, you will notice that I moved over the player aid. So what we're going to do is we go ahead and flip over 3 cards, these construction cards, and now what will happen is each player can choose one combination. They can do a number 2, and they can go with a fence, the park, or this symbol. They can go with a 9 with those, or they can go with a 12 with those. With the fence, if you choose a fence, you can actually, once you fill in whatever number you want, for example, if we picked a number 2, we could put it over here, and then we can draw a fence in any one of these fence signs. The reason you're drawing the fence is you want to create estates, and that's what these planning cards are. Is this particular one, you want to have 3. We want to have 3 house estates to complete that one. This one, we want to have a housing estate with 5 houses, and then 2 with 2. And then in this one, you want to have one that has 1, 2, and 6. And what these numbers are is, this is the points that the first player would get if they complete that, and then this is the number that the next player would get. And once those are done, those will go ahead and flip over. See how that one, where the first person got their 12, they'll go ahead and flip that over, so then everybody else will be able to get 7. So let's go ahead, and then the park, you're building a park. The score right here is, for when you're doing the scoring for the parks, is each park you get to fill in one of these spaces. And then if you fill in these 4, you're going to get 10 points for the parks there. If you fill in these 4, you'll be able to get 14 bonus points, and then these ones would be 18 bonus points. And then this symbol is the temp agency card. So if I were to pick a number 12, for example, this card allows me to add or subtract 0 to 2 numbers. So this could become a 12, a 13, or a 14, or it could be a 10 or 11. So this will kind of make more sense as we go through. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick the combo of 2 in a fence. So I'm going to go ahead and write number 2 right there. I'm going to look at see which cards I want, and it looks like I've got the most with a 2 house estate. So I would go ahead and draw a fence right there. And now that would consider to be a 2 house estate right there. So then the next thing we do for the turn, we flip these over again. And then we get to decide what we want to do. So the park we talked about, we would build a park. These numbers are the real estate agent. And what this number does is it allows you to bump up the points for 1 estates, 2 estates, 3 estates, 4, 5, and 6, etc. And that is called the real estate agent card. The BIS card allows players to duplicate a house number on any street. The caveat being the new house must be directly adjacent to an existing house. But let's go ahead, and we're going to pick the 13. And we are going to build a park right here. I'm just going to call that the park. Fill this in. So then if we can get 2 more, we'll be at the 10 points. So then what we do is we flip these cards over once more. And then everybody would be taking their turns simultaneously. So let's see. We have a pool, so let's go ahead and go to what the pools do. Trying to see. You know what? We'll do this. We'll make this a pool just for the game. So we're going to go ahead and build that pool. That allows us to mark off that box. So we did a 12 in a pool. And then the next time we do a pool, we're going to get 3 points, and then so on and so on and so on. So what you do is you continue to flip these over. And let's see. We have another pool. We have a park. You know, let's go ahead and do a park. We'll put the 7 here, make that a park. Fill out the second one, and then we'll get 4 points. So let's do one more turn. All right, so we have another fence here. So what numbers do we have? We have 8 across the board. I always like to put my 8s in the middle. And then I'm going to go ahead and build another 2 fence right here, because on this city planner card, we need to have a 5 estate and 2 2s. So you continue to flip over the cards. Let's see, we'll do a 9 there. We'll do another fence. Now we need a 5. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go ahead and do that there. So now we have a 2 estate, a 1 estate, a 5 estate, and a 2 estate. We'll go ahead and flip these over again. All right, and we're going to do the 1. We're going to put our 1 here. And because we know we're going for a lot of the 2 estates, we're going to go ahead and fill out that box. We'll continue to flip these over. All right, we got another pool. And I'm going to go ahead and put a 4 here. Make that pool. Mark off that. So now we're going to get 6 points. Let's continue to flip these over. All right, we got a 6 fence. We got a 7. Oh, you know what? Let's put the 7 right here. And we'll go ahead and fill that in. Now, and they're really the only difference between a solo player game and kind of playing this as, you know, with other people, is in a solo player game, you will condense it down the stacks just a bit, but you'll put in a solo card. And when that solo card hits, these would flip over. And we'll actually do a playthrough of a solo game, but I don't think there's a need to do that in this particular play video. So we'll go ahead and flip these over again. And I'll put a 7 there for another pool. And then we'll pretend that somebody another player had got this 8 points. So if another player got that 8 points, you would flip that over. So then the scoring, then they would get 4. What would happen is you would continue through these cards. I'm going to go ahead and pause this. I'll play through the cards, and then we'll go ahead and add up the score. So I went ahead and played through a little bit and got to a point that I was hoping we'd get to on this one. So we have a situation where I've got a 14, a 13, and a 15. I cannot play the 14, 13, or 15 here. I can try and use the temp agency card, and we will use the temp agency card on this 14, subtracting 2, so I can make that a 12, but I do have to go ahead and mark off a box here, and that'll impact the scoring later on. And then in the game, if you're using the first person to use, I believe it's 7 of the temp agencies, they're going to go ahead and score extra points. Sorry, the person that has the most temp agencies crossed out will get 7 points. If I was not able to play any of the cards, then would I have to go ahead and mark off one of these, the permit cards. It's called the permit refusal card, and then you will start getting minus points on this if that happens. All right, so once the game's done, we'll go ahead and do our score. So the first part of the scoring is, and in this particular case, we're going to pretend like we got 2 of these second and 1 of them first. So on N1, we would get the 4 points if we were the second one. N2, we would get 10 points. N3, we would get 7. So that's 21 points right there. Yep, 14 and 7 is 21. Then we'd add up our parks. So we're going to get 10 points for the first neighborhood because we got all those filled in. We're going to get 14 points because we've got all of those filled in. And this one, we're only going to get 4 points because we were only able to build 2 parks. So we've got 24, 28. Then what we're going to do is go ahead and add up how many pools we had. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pools marked. So let's just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which means we get 17 points for the pool. We're going to get 0 points for this because, again, we're pretending we're playing with a lot of people and one of these temp agencies is not going to win. So then we go ahead and now we're adding up our estates. So we have to look at and see how many 1 estates did we have. And we had 1. And that was it. So we would get 1 point. Then we look to see how many 2 estates we have. We've got 1, 2, and that's it. So that would give us 8 points. We would look at how many 3 estates we have. We've got 1, 2. That would give us 8 points. We don't have any 4 estates. We did not get our point here for our 5th estate because we're pretending like we didn't finish this before the game ended. So we'd get 0. And we had 1, 4, 6, so 8. So then we would add these up. You've got 8, 16, 24, 25 minus 1. So we're going to add these up again. 8 plus 8 is 16, 24, 25 minus 1. So we're going to say 24. Actually, let's do it this way. Minus 1. Minus 3 here for the permit refusal. So now we're going to go ahead and add up all these and then see what we get. So we would have gotten 87 points on this one. And this was just a really simple how to play. The biggest key factors is just remembering what each card does. The fence is pretty easy because it is the surveyor card where you're building your estates. The real estate agent card is the one that has all the money on it. And that's pretty simple because all that's doing is you're deciding which estate, whether it's 1 through 6, of how much extra value that is. The landscaper card is fairly simple. It's the parks. You're building the parks and scoring the points to the parks. The pool manufacturer card, you're just making the pool. The ones that I always have the hardest time remembering is the temp agency, which does allow you to add or subtract 2 to that particular number. And then you have your BIS cards, which allow you to write in that number plus a second number as long as it's adjacent to somebody else. The other thing that can be a challenge sometimes to remember is keeping track when you have these cards. The great thing about, I play this a lot on Board Game Arena, and I like how it just automates it and it blinks for you to remind you that, hey, you fulfilled this. But this is something when you're playing physically, especially when you're playing with other people, sometimes you forget to look. So, I would say, around turn 5 or 6, just make a point of always looking there. I really enjoyed this game a lot. It's a blast to play. I've played it plenty of times solo. We will do a how to play solo, but really there's not that big of a difference. And we'll go ahead and do some gameplay videos on this and going forward. Really do appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this. If I explained anything incorrectly or missed a step or something, let me know in the comment section. I'm always thankful when people watch the videos and make comments, even if it's criticism. That's one of the great things about these videos is integrate having that conversation exchange with people. Really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, folks, cheers.